You're standing here today because something inside you broke. Maybe it was a relationship that shattered your trust. Maybe it was a friend who turned their back when you needed them most. Maybe it was a family member who weaponized your vulnerabilities against you. Or maybe, just maybe, it was you looking in the mirror one morning, realizing you've been living someone else's version of your life. They tried to break you into silence. Let me tell you what that really means. When someone tries to silence you, they're not just trying to stop your voice. They're attempting something far more sinister. They're trying to kill your spirit. They're trying to convince you that your thoughts don't matter, that your feelings are invalid, that your existence is negotiable. They want you small. They want you compliant. They want you so afraid of your own power that you'll spend the rest of your life apologizing for taking up space. But here's what they didn't count on. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is not surrender. Silence is a cosmic pause before the thunder. It's the held breath before the storm. It's the moment a warrior stops talking and starts becoming. You see, when they pushed you into that corner, when they made you swallow your words, when they ridiculed your dreams until you stopped sharing them, they thought they were winning. They thought your silence meant defeat. They couldn't have been more wrong. Your silence was a chrysalis. And while they were celebrating what they thought was your destruction, something remarkable was happening in that quiet space. You were transmuting. Every insult became fuel. Every betrayal became wisdom. Every moment they made you feel small was actually compressing your carbon into diamond. They wanted to break you. Instead, they forged you. Now let me ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly, even if it's just in your own mind. When was the last time you truly honored your own silence? When was the last time you stopped explaining yourself to people who were never going to understand you anymore? Because here's the truth that most people will never grasp. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your evolution. You want to know what terrifies them? It's not your anger. It's not your words. It's not even your success. What absolutely destroys them is your peace. Your unshakable, unexplainable, undeniable peace. The kind of peace that doesn't need validation. The kind of strength that doesn't require an audience. The kind of power that operates in complete silence and still moves mountains. Think about it. When you were broken, when you were loud with your pain, when you were crying and begging and trying to make them understand, they could handle that. They could dismiss that. They could manipulate that. Your suffering gave them power over you. But now that you've stopped leading in public, now that you've stopped seeking their approval, now that you've turned your pain into purpose and your wounds into wisdom, they don't know what to do with you. Your aura speaks now, not your mouth, not your arguments, not your desperate attempts to prove your worth. Your energy does all the talking, and it's saying things it can't ignore, can't diminish, can't control. You walk into a room differently now. You carry yourself like someone who has died and been reborn, because that's exactly what happened. The old version of you, the one who needed their acceptance, who dimmed their light to make others comfortable, who apologized for existing, that person's gone. And what rose from those ashes? Something they cannot categorize, something they cannot predict, something they absolutely cannot break. You become the living embodiment of their worst nightmare, a person who no longer needs them. Let me tell you what happened to me. There was a time in my life when I bent over backwards trying to prove my value to people who had already decided I was worthless. I exhausted myself explaining my vision to people who were committed to misunderstanding me. I poured my heart into relationships with people who saw my vulnerability as weakness. And one day, after being pushed too far, something inside me clicked. I stopped talking. I stopped explaining. I stopped performing. I stopped shrinking. I stopped caring about their version of my story. The silence was deafening. But in that silence, I found something they could never give me and could never take away. Myself. Here's what they don't teach you about betrayal. It's the universe's most brutal blessing. I know. Right now that might sound insane. If you're fresh from a wound, if the knife is still in your back, if you can still taste the poison they served you with a smile. You're thinking, how the hell is this a blessing? Stay with me. Betrayal reveals. It doesn't destroy, it reveals. It shows you who people really are when the mask comes off. It shows you what you're actually made of when everything you thought was solid turns to sand. It shows you that you can survive things you thought would kill you. Every person who betrayed you did you a favor. They removed themselves from a future where you're thriving. And they saved you years of wasted energy on people who didn't deserve a front row seat to your evolution. Think about the people who tried to break you. Really think about them. What were they projecting onto you? What were they afraid you'd become? What light in you threatened the darkness they were comfortable living in? Your growth exposed their stagnation. Your courage highlighted their cowardice. Your refusal to stay small reminded them of how they'd settle. They didn't hate you. They hated what you represented. Possibility. So they tried to dim you. They tried to convince you that your dreams were delusions, that your ambitions were arrogance, that your self-respect was selfishness. They weaponized your kindness against you, mistaking your patience for weakness and your love for desperation. But here's the beautiful irony. Every stone they threw became a stepping stone. Every door they slammed became a wall you learned to climb. Every time they counted you out, you were in the gym counting reps. Every time they celebrated your downfall, you were in the shadows doing the work. Betrayal is alchemy. It takes your lead and turns it into gold. It takes your softness and forges it into steel. It takes your innocence and transforms it into wisdom. You're not the same person who trusted them. You're not the same person who believed their lies. You're not the same person who gave them chance after chance after chance. You're better. You're sharper. You're untouchable. Let me tell you something about quiet people that loud people never understand. Silence is not absence. It's observation. While they were talking, you were watching. While they were performing, you were learning. While they were broadcasting their every move for validation, you were moving in silence, building in private, becoming dangerous in the dark. The quiet one is always the most dangerous person in the room. You want to know why? Because they see everything. They hear everything. They remember everything. And they say nothing until it's time to move. You were that person. You are that person. They pushed you too far. And they made a critical mistake. They assumed your silence was submission. They thought because you weren't shouting, you weren't plotting. They thought because you weren't fighting back immediately, you'd forgotten. But you didn't forget. You filed it away. You noted every lie, every manipulation. Every moment they showed you exactly who they were. And while they were comfortable in their arrogance, you were in the laboratory of your own mind, conducting experiments, testing theories, building something they couldn't even imagine. This is what happens when you push the quiet one too far. You don't get an explosion. You get an evolution. You don't get drama. You get distance. You don't get revenge. You get irrelevance. They become a footnote in your story, a cautionary tale you tell yourself about who not to trust. The quiet ones don't raise their voice. They raise their standards. They don't argue. They remove themselves from the equation entirely. They don't seek revenge. They become so successful that they become the revenge. And that is what's happening to you right now. Close your eyes for a moment. Now really, if you can close them, I want you to feel what I'm about to say, not just hear it. Your aura is the electromagnetic field of energy that surrounds your body. Science has proven it exists. Spirituality has honored it for millennia. But here's what most people don't understand. Your aura is a direct reflection of your internal state. When you were broken, when you were desperate for their acceptance, when you were bleeding from wounds you didn't ask for, your aura was fractured. People could sense your pain. They could smell your weakness. And predators, emotional predators, energy vampires, narcissists, they gravitated toward you like sharks to blood in the water. But something has shifted. Now when you walk into a room, people feel something different. They can't articulate it. They might not even be consciously aware of it. But on a cellular level, on an energetic level, they know you're not the same. Your aura speaks louder than their worst nightmare because it tells a story they can't rewrite. It says, I survived what you put me through, and it didn't break me, it made me. It says, I don't need your validation because I've validated myself. It says, I'm not here to prove anything to you because I've already proven everything to myself. This is the power of energetic sovereignty. You're no longer available for their projections. You're no longer a dumping ground for their insecurities. You're no longer a mirror that makes them feel good about themselves by comparison. You're no longer playing in their game because you've realized something profound. You were never meant to be a player. You were always meant to be the game itself. Your presence is your power. Your energy is your weapon. Your aura is your announcement to the world. I am no longer available for anything less than I deserve. And that terrifies them, because if you can do it, if you can rise from the ashes they tried to bury you in, what excuse do they have for staying where they are? I pause, letting the weight of those words settle. Then I lean in, my voice dropping to something more intimate, more direct. Listen, if what I'm saying right now is resonating with you, if you feel these words in your bones, in your soul, in that place where truth lives, I need you to do something for you. I need you to hit that like button. Not for me, for you. Because when you engage with content that elevates you, the algorithm brings you more of it. You're programming your reality with every click, every comment, every share. Drop a comment below. Tell me your story. Tell me what tried to break you. Tell me what you're becoming. Because your words matter. Your testimony matters. Someone else in this community needs to hear that they're not alone. And subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. This is not just content. This is a movement. This is a community of people who refuse to stay broken, who transformed their pain into power, who understood that silence is not the end of their story. It's the beginning of their legend. We're building something here, and you're a part of it. Now, let's continue. There's a moment in every transformation story that people don't talk about enough. It's the moment when you look in the mirror and you don't recognize yourself, not because you've lost who you are, but because you found that you've always been underneath all the conditioning, all the people pleasing, all the shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. That moment is terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. You become the monster they created, but not in the way they expected. You're not bitter, you're better. You're not broken. You're rebuilt with materials they don't have access to. You're not seeking revenge. You're seeking excellence. And your success is the only revenge you'll ever need. Let me be very clear about something. When people call you a monster, what they're really saying is, you're no longer controllable. When they say you've changed, what they mean is, you're no longer convenient to my narrative. When they accuse you of being cold, what they're admitting is, your boundaries make me uncomfortable. Good. Let them be uncomfortable. You spent too many years making yourself small so they could feel big. You spent too many nights crying over people who slept peacefully after hurting you. You spent too many moments questioning your worth because someone who had none themselves convinced you that you didn't have any either. Those days are over. The monster they created is actually the masterpiece you were always meant to be. You're disciplined where you used to be chaotic. You're strategic where you used to be impulsive. You're selective where you used to be available to anyone. You're powerful where you used to be placated. They wanted you weak. You became unstoppable. They wanted you silent. Your aura became deafening. They wanted you gone. You became unavoidable. This is what happens when you alchemize pain into purpose. This is what happens when you stop asking for permission to be yourself. This is what happens when you realize that the only validation you ever needed was your own. Now they watch from the sidelines, and one of two things happens. Either they're inspired to do their own work, or they're consumed by jealousy that you did yours. Either way, that's no longer your concern. You're too busy building your empire to worry about people who are still trying to burn yours down. Untouchable doesn't mean invincible. It means no longer available for manipulation, for diminishment, for anything that doesn't align with who you've become. You've reached a state that very few people achieve. Emotional sovereignty. You're no longer ruled by what people think of you. You're no longer destroyed by what people say about you. You're no longer defined by what people do to you. You've claimed your throne, and from that throne you see everything differently. The people who hurt you, teachers, the betrayals you endured, redirections, the pain you survived, preparation, everything that happened to you was happening for you, molding you into someone capable of holding the life you're about to build. The untouchable mindset is not about arrogance. It's about unshakable self-knowledge. It's knowing your worth so deeply that you don't need anyone else to confirm it. It's knowing your purpose so clearly that you don't need anyone else to validate it. It's knowing your power so intimately that you don't need anyone else to activate it. You are the source. You are the wellspring. You are the sun that radiates its own light without needing anyone to tell it to shine. And here's what's beautiful. From this place, you attract differently. You no longer attract people who need fixing. You attract people who are already whole, and want to build something extraordinary together. You no longer attract drama. You attract peace. You no longer attract takers. You attract givers. Your frequency has changed, and your reality is changing to match it. There's an old saying, when one door closes, another opens. But you know what nobody tells you? Sometimes you have to walk through walls. Sometimes there is no door. Sometimes there is no opening. Sometimes the universe is testing whether you want it badly enough to create your own entrance. You've been walking through walls your entire life. You just didn't realize it. Every time they said you couldn't, and you did. Every time they said you wouldn't, and you proved them wrong. Every time they counted you out, and you came back stronger. You're not looking for doors anymore. You're not waiting for permission. You're not hoping for opportunities. You become the kind of person who creates opportunities where none existed. You become the kind of force that doesn't ask for entry. It commands presence. This is the difference between who you were and who you are. The old you waited, the new you creates. The old you hoped, the new you executes. The old you needed approval. The new you is the approval. And that shift, that fundamental rewiring of how you move through the world is permanent. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unknow what you learned. You can't unbecome who you've become. You are forever changed, and the world around you has no choice but to change in response. Before we finish, let me make something crystal clear. This is your moment, right here, right now, to decide who you're going to be. Are you going to stay in the story they wrote about you, or are you going to burn that script and write your own? If you choose the latter, if you choose yourself, I need you to make that official. Hit subscribe. Join this community of warriors who are rewriting their destinies. Turn on notifications so you never miss a message that might be exactly what you need to hear on your hardest day. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that their silence is not their weakness. It's their superpower loading. This is bigger than YouTube. This is a movement of people who refuse to stay victims and decided to become victors. Are you in? Good. Now let's finish what we started. So here we are, you and me, face to face with a truth that can't be denied. You are not the person they tried to break. You are the phoenix that rose from those ashes. You are the diamond that formed under that pressure. You are the warrior that was forged in that fire. Your aura speaks louder than their worst nightmare because it tells a story they can't stomach. Redemption is real. Transformation is possible. And the people they underestimated, dismissed, and discarded can become the very people they'll never forget. You don't need to announce your arrival. Your energy does that for you. You don't need to defend your evolution. Your results do that for you. You don't need to prove you've changed. Your peace does that for you. This is your life now. This is your power now. This is your truth now. They tried to break you into silence, and instead you became the storm they can't outrun, the force they can't contain, the legend they can't erase. So what do you do with this power? You honor it. You protect it. You use it to build a life so authentic, so aligned, so extraordinary that your very existence becomes an invitation for others to do the same. You become the proof that breaking is not the end. It's the beginning. Now go. Walk into your life like the masterpiece you are. Speak without words. Command without force. Win without fighting. Your aura will do the rest. I step back, holding your gaze one final time. The old you is gone. What's standing here now is untouchable. Remember that. Always.